What's up, y'all? Welcome back to another episode of It's Giving. This is your boy Brandon the Introvert. In this episode, we're gonna be talking about Atlanta season 3. So yeah, sit back, relax. I'ma just talk a little bit of random shit about Atlanta season 3. So I feel like this was definitely the most divisive season of Atlanta yet. I feel like there was a lot of factors contributing to it. On one hand, it was a 4-year hiatus. The last season 2, was in 2018, and then you come back in season 3 in 2022. A lot has changed. Pandemic has happened. Trump was already president 2018, but 4 years is just a long time for any TV show to like just come and then come back. Even for, I feel like, music artists, like 4 years is a bit of a time unless you're like legendary. But I mean, Atlanta is a legendary show. I view Donald Glover as legendary. I don't think we as a black people will give Donald Glover too much credit. Maybe like the younger ones when he gets older, but right now I feel like we're not giving him the credit that he deserves. And that's also another factor I feel like that leads into kind of this, I don't know, weird view of Donald Glover. We like him, but then we don't. We kind of claim him, but then we don't. We notice him, but then we don't. So I feel like a lot of that kind of culminated with at least the season 3 uh opinions, I would say. And then for season 3, you have the setting. I feel like we're not in Atlanta, and the show's name is Atlanta. We're in Europe this time. And I feel like with season 1 and 2, kind of the reasons and why that people love Atlanta was the black characters. It's a black show. It's in Atlanta. So I feel like a lot of the comedy, even though it's a weird show, like with the Teddy Perkins and the one episode where Al was in the woods, even though I feel like it's still a lot of weirdism to it, it was still a black show. But taking this in Europe, and not only that, we have these anthology episodes. The first episode has nothing to do with the main characters of Atlanta. Then the fourth episode has nothing to do with the characters of Atlanta. I believe the seventh episode and then the ninth episode. So we had 3 anthology standalone episodes, even though they were in the setting of Atlanta. It has nothing to do with the black characters. In fact, the perspective is through white people, at least for 2. Damn, it was 1, 2, 3. Damn, it was 4 anthology episodes, actually. So the first one was through the lens of a black boy named Aquarius. And then the second one was the reparations episode through the actor Justin Barth. Not the actor, but the actor that plays the character Justin Bartha. And then the third one was through the lens of a white family, pretty much. And then the fourth one was a lens of kind of a black guy that can pass as white, pretty much. So the lenses are obviously not black. The stories aren't necessarily black. They're black related, but I feel like because it's through the perspective of these white people, it kind of puts you in a weird space when you're used to Atlanta season 1, season 2 through the lens of each of the main characters and through the lens of just black people in general, period. And now we're in just this weird, really, 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 really weird space. Um, and then when you get into the tone as well of season 3, as opposed to season 2, which is like the Robin season, everybody trying to get theirs, everybody trying to hustle to stay alive. Season 1 was kind of like they're just on the come up. You get to see, I guess, just kind of more of the industry, things of that nature. But the backdrop, even straight from the jump with the first episode in season 3, is with the backdrop of just like whiteness. Not so much whiteness as a race, but whiteness kind of as a dynamic, as a power. Whiteness as a thing that can be attained. yeah, not so much color, not so much race, not even so much white people in a way, but in this case, I guess whiteness is in this current era, um, as they were trying to explain in this current era, is just white people have the whiteness right now, but anyone can be white. They were talking about Armenians, black people almost became white when they were, getting independent institutions of their own. So like I said, like whiteness is kind of this fluid thing, and we see that kind of prevalent, definitely. I would say most prevalent in the ninth episode where the black kid had to be judged for whether you could be black or white to get the scholarship. um, and it seems like mentally he grew up white, even though he was physically and mentally and culturally, not culturally, mentally he grew up white, I would say. So I feel like that weaves and ebbs and flows throughout this season. And I like it. I just feel like it was a lot going on in terms of like trying to hone it in. It kind of seemed like it didn't take like full, like a formative shape. Even with the anthology episode, the first episode I really love, the adoption episode, I really love that. And I feel like that was a good like foundation and good start to kind of get the theme rolling. As y'all already know, well, the ones that have seen it with the first episode, just with that talk with the white moms, how they were just saying how like no one stopped them from adopting these black kids, even though I mean they knew it was wrong. They exploiting the kids, starving the kids, not listening to the kids, things of that nature, and they know they're wrong, but they're white, they can't be stopped in this world, pretty much. Like, just to keep it real, not to say things can't be stopped, but right now whiteness is the power structure, and it's evident through these two moms. They were able to do what the hell they wanted to do, until Aquarius took it into his hands to save himself and save the other kids. We see with the reparations episode where white people were freaking out, but at the end of the day, ironically, with the conversation that the white fisherman had with the black fisherman at the beginning of that season, how he makes an appearance in the fourth episode and has a talk with the main character, and basically says like, even though we're gonna, money is drained, you're gonna be separated from your family, it's gonna be okay because you're white, and what do you think we did to them? The seventh episode, Trinity to the Bone, that I was kind of confused on what they were trying to say. I'm not gonna lie. Like, I guess the privilege of having black people invest in them, take care of them. I'm not even gonna sit here and try to tell you what I like. I have some thoughts, but it's just gonna confuse y'all more and confuse me even more. But yeah, and then the ninth episode with just whiteness as a, not just a power, but whiteness as a state of mind. Even though you're black, doesn't mean you're black. So I kind of, obviously I feel like the create like Donald Glover and the writers, obviously they know if you're black, you black at the end of the day. But I do feel like it was a question or a thought to bring up. Like, even though you're black, like they brought up Clarence Thomas, he's black, but he's a white person. You know what I mean? So I feel like they brought up a lot of good scenarios and examples, even evident like through how white people treated the main characters. We see how Al got his money robbed from those billionaires, even though they had all the money in the world. How that white person was kind of basically trying to exploit that one black creative, quote unquote creative, and invested like hundreds of thousands of dollars into him, for some type of return, or the one white woman who basically took over that Nigerian restaurant, bought it, and then rebranded it as her own, and didn't even involve the black owner in the process. So we see kind of how dastardly and evil white power can be. Um, but like I said, I feel like it was just an experimental project. And I feel like when you go into season 3 with that in mind, it makes it more palatable. It makes it more, okay, this is kind of just something that they wanted to do just for the hell of it. They're about to finish the whole series in the next season. Like, they wanted to just try stuff out. And honestly, I feel like you're not a good creative if you don't take that risk. You know what I mean? I don't think that season was bad. It was just experimental. Like with damn, damn. Oh, 808 Heartbreak. Like, I remember during that time, like, doing straight up auto tune, doing straight up experimental stuff like that, not traditional quote unquote hip hop, all of that. Like, it got a lot of flack, but now people don't mind it. Yeezus, I feel like, got a lot of flack, but it was experimental at the end of the day. You can't fault a creative for doing that. I'm not really mentioning certain names. I'm just giving examples of certain projects that I feel like went kind of left in terms of their past trajectory. And I feel like Atlanta was one of those shows. In terms of the main characters, I feel like not much was said. I think the main focus was just putting these main characters. By main characters, I'm talking about Al, Darius, and Earn specifically. Van, I'm about to talk about after these three. But I think it's just putting these main characters that we usually see in Atlanta, putting them in Europe. What would happen to them in Europe? What would their state of mind be when they're in Europe? How do they react when they're in Europe? They don't have that standing of familiarity that they have in Atlanta. So I think that main purpose for those characters, like, I wouldn't even call them storylines. They're not storylines, but the main purpose with the characters was just to see how they react in a European world. So, and we see how they react. We see Al, he's amazed by some stuff, he's weirded out by some stuff. I think he still stays true to himself. Earn is kind of just going with the flow with what, Al wants to do. Darius is loving Europe. Like, I feel like that's completely his vibe. So, I don't know. I think this wasn't so much about like growth or development in each of the characters as definitely was for Alan Earn season 1 and 2. I think this is just like a what if. Like, what if we put them in Europe? What if we put them in this scenario? What if we put them in a billionaire's house with the Nando's attached to it, a white woman running around, shady billionaires stealing your money during poker, a white manager, like, you know what I mean? Like, what a guy named Socks that's inflamed that Darius, got, disrespected by a quote unquote racist. Like, what if? I feel like that was the purpose of these three characters. Now for Van, I feel like she was given the most formative storyline. I feel like Van, even if you see her trajectory season 1 and 2, I feel like it was still consistent with how she was acting and how she was moving in season 3. I feel like Van has always been kind of sidelined and have always been pigeonholed as like Ern's girl or Lottie's mom, or just there, like you're revolving around other planets, but you're not a planet yourself. So I feel like in Europe that was actually a perfect backdrop for her to find herself, find her, figure out her identity, figure out who she is as Van. And we see she's kind of like playing with like who she is or who she might be. Like, we see her get a little it starts as like just contemplative, then we see her kind of up in the ante a little bit. She's stealing shit, she's pushing people in the pool, she's really not returning Ern's messages, Ern's calls. She's in her own world and she's creating her own world in real time. And the thing that I like about Atlanta, it doesn't take itself too seriously. Like, we're not going to see this whole dramatic evolution. We're just going to see it play out. We're just going to see it. You know what I mean? We're not going to have a lot of lead up. We're just seeing it. And it's these moments of time that may not be so continuous, but I think it's the moments that are the most important. The moments that are happening, I feel like, is indicative of the character's state of mind in that time, in that moment. Not so much, I feel like, the when it happened, how it happened isn't important. I feel like it's more so what is going on right now. That's what's important. Van pushing somebody in the pool is what's important. How she got to that state of mind may not be so important. You know what I mean? I think just putting these moments together, seeing how they not even how they relate, because it's really not about that. It's just about where the character is and where they are in that time and place. And we see, damn, by the finale, Van is a completely different. I didn't want to give too much spoilers, but Van is a completely different person. Shit, no, this is for the people that's seen season 3. Fuck that. But Van is a completely different person. Um, we see she's just consuming life, just taking in life, seeing if she likes this or not. Going into completely different identities and really not thinking of the consequences. And we see her, she eventually breaks down saying she experienced a dark depression while she was in Atlanta. She don't remember much, but then she just blanks and all of a sudden is in Amsterdam. And we see, the second episode of the season, and really the first episode, the ending of the first episode, we see kind of that segue into Europe. But anyway, we see her in Amsterdam in the second episode of this season. And of course, she's referring to that. So we get some type of a timeline, but the timeline isn't important. It's where they are now. And we see in the finale, um, she's just we see the build up from where she was at episode 2 and 3, and I believe 6 with New Fashion, or White Fashion. But we see where she ends up at now. Like I said, the moments. It's the moments. The moment right now is she's a completely different character. She's committing crimes. She's in some type of underworld. She's with a shady chef. Like, this is where she's at right now. Until, of course, her friend comes in and kind of breaks her out of that mindset. But I feel like Van's story was really cool because if y'all listen to my past podcast episodes, I personally feel like I was able to relate to that. Just finding yourself, being used to being in the shadow of others or being used to servicing others, but not so much like investing in yourself. And like I said, we saw that season 1 and 2. So in terms of if you're looking for a formative storyline, I feel like Van's storyline was the best thing. But outside of that, you're just going to get experimental. You're just going to get a lot of just alternate reality shit, like a lot of fantasy shit. And actually, Donald Glover and the writers, I said this in the other podcast, in the previous podcast episodes. Donald Glover and the writers wanted black short stories, black fairy tale, black fantasy. And I feel like Europe was kind of the best place because usually with fantasies, you're taken from a familiar place to a strange place, and the values and what you've learned and who you are in that familiar place is tested in that strange place. And when you leave that strange place, you're forever changed, and the way you see things in the familiar place will be completely different because you were in that strange place and had to survive in that strange place and had to be challenged in that strange place. And it really tested who you are, and the shit that you believed in the familiar place may not fly in this strange place. And then when you leave that strange place, maybe the shit that your values are either gone or did a dramatic change, or maybe there's still some values there and then there's some new you in there. So it just warps you in a way. And I feel like they kind of nailed it with that in mind, with the fact that they wanted it to be kind of a fantasy, a short story, a fairy tale type of thing. I feel like they nailed it. Even with the anthology episodes, with the reparations episode, and kind of like the Sylvia, the Trini nanny, how it was kind of like a little spiritual, mystical element to it. Um, season one, episode 1, where the orphan was taken from a familiar place to a strange place, back to a familiar place. Like, I feel like all of that, and then how these white forces were affecting him, and how he liberated himself because he had to be challenged and he had to realize kind of what he needed to prioritize moving forward, where his strength lied, who he could actually trust, who he actually loves, who is actually for him. Even though I do feel like it was kind of it was dramatic the way the mom like kind of just said, okay, you can go with the social workers. Bye. I feel like he definitely didn't do anything wrong. He was just excited for Black Panther 2. So I feel like there wasn't a lesson to be learned for him. Um, I guess the white people will kill you lesson is something that he had to learn. But overall, y'all get what I'm talking about with the fairy tale. And I feel like it was good because it was kind of a Bildungsroman, a coming of age kind of story. With like he seemed like what 11, 12. And I feel like fantasies usually start off with a child. You know what I mean? So I do feel like they hit it on the nail with that being their intention of kind of a fantasy element throughout this whole season. And I'm excited to see how the characters change from being in Europe, from being in that fantasy land. We already see Van is kind of she's coming into herself. We didn't really see the after outcome. We're seeing kind of how like we saw her changing and knowing that she has to go back to Atlanta. So we haven't seen her back in Atlanta yet. Obviously, we don't even know her state of mind now, but we know that she has changed. So I think these main characters, the four characters that I'm talking about, Al, Darius, Ern, and Van, are going to come out in a different way. In a different way. So I think when you take that into account, season 3 was actually pretty good. And I feel like once you kind of see season 4, I haven't seen it. We haven't seen it yet. But I feel like it's going to make more sense once we watch season 4. And I feel like we can make some type of connection with that fairy tale concept in mind. I feel like niggas, y'all just got to do y'all. If y'all love a show, y'all got to do y'all research on it. Y'all got to do your research. I'm not saying the average viewer, but I guess I don't know. I think it's because I love the show and I will take the time to understand where the creators are coming from. And when you do, you could kind of have a appreciation. Of course, you could still think as ass or trash at the end of the day. Everybody has a different perception. Everyone has a different lens, but if you really love the show and you thought this season or this episode was trash, look back towards it and just see the mechanics behind it. And I feel like you might be illuminated by what you find out. Um, but overall, like I enjoy season 3. It doesn't have the same like classic panache, whatever the fuck you want to call it, of season 2 and season 1, but it's its own thing, and that's fine. It's fine. It's fine. You know, it's fine. It's fine. I think doing what you feel like doing and the ones that are going to vibe with that is the best possible outcome. Caring about whether they're going to like it or not. And I'm a hypocrite, but literally caring about if people are going to like it or not, if you prioritize that over what you want to do, then it's going to end up churning out as shit. But if you do what you want to do, no one can take that away from you. Like with Tyler and Igor, like I feel like Wolf and Flower Boy were kind of similar to each other a little bit in the tone. There was, I think, the calming vibe, but whatever. That's not the point. I feel like once Igor came out, that was a completely different, synthy, poppy, less words, just different, just completely different from what we're used to with Tyler. But it's a hit for me. It's a hit. So I feel like it was kind of similar. This is just the Igor of Atlanta. It's season 3. Um, and I feel like season 4, as Donald Glover said, like this is going to be on par with Sopranos. So we're going to see what season 4 is going to bring. Um, shit, that's all I have to say. Looking forward to season 4. Looking forward to what they're going to bring forward for this final season. So that's shit. That's all I gotta say. I also forgot. Look at my little season 3 poster, and also shout out to the artist Alim Smith, who they got to create a lot of these surrealist type of images. The tone for season 3 was and the tone for this whole show is kind of Afro surrealism, and I feel like this definitely um fit the vibe of the entire season and what they were trying to like bring forth. Also, bear with me. I'm trying to make shit cool. I'm trying to add little effects. I'm trying to do all of that, intros. I'm doing all this myself. So just bear with me. Please bear with me. I'm trying. I'm trying my best. I'm trying my best. But overall, I cannot wait to review season 4 and look forward to more. Okay. Bye.